Yep.
Good morning. I'd like to call to order the monthly meeting of the Washington County Board of Supervisors for October 15th, 2021. Supervisor Claire, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Dear Father, thank you for the bountiful harvest that we've had this season. And, we appreciate all the farmers and all the supervisors who help bring in the crops. Looking at the families that are suffering from COVID and the public health and healthcare, please guide them, be with them, give them the peace they need to do the job they need to do. There's a lot happening in this world right now, whether it be in schools, outside. You need to cover it. Amen.
Please rise to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In case of fire or other emergencies, just re-exit to that room. In case of that emergency, please find the nearest exit. Find the nearest stairwell, go down the stairwell and clear the building. Go away, get as far away from the building as possible. Please silence your cell phones for this meeting. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Hankey. Here. Mrs. Fedler.
She's on. We're going to hand it.
Okay. Mr. Ferguson.
Here.
Mr. Shaw.
Here.
Mr. Hall.
Here.
Mr. Fisher.
Here.
Mr. Hicks.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
On screen.
Mr. Half.
Mr. Half says he's trying to log on
Okay.
and he's having a glitch and he doesn't know if everything is working. So he's making an attempt saying that he may try to get in.
I understand it.
Okay.
Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Skelly.
Here.
Mr. Hogan. Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mrs. Clary. Here. Mr. Griffith.
Here.
Mr. Roselle.
We don't see Mr. Russo.
I'm all set.
Have a quorum? We have a quorum. We're good to go. The condensed minutes. The condensed minutes from the September 17th, 2021 meeting are accepted as mailed unless there are any additions or corrections. Does anyone have any additions or corrections they would like to add? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to communications.
For communications, the New York State Liquor Authority, the members of the authority voted to approve the request to remove the restrictions on the hours of sale on Good Friday. From Warren County, we are in receipt of their resolution number 413, supporting the Adirondack Community College Improvement Plan for 2022-2023. From the town of Argyle, a letter expressing their interest in the Argyle property with the wells, and I will provide all supervisors with a copy of that prior to the government operations meeting. That's all I have.
Very good, thank you. COVID-19 update, Tim.
All right, good morning, everybody. We'll just roll through this pretty quick, give you a quick update on where we are with the response to COVID-19. So we continue our updates on the coronavirus information site, washingtoncountyny.gov/coronavirus. On the weekends, we're trying to do it. So it's a couple day where it covers the entire weekend. Some days, depending on the active caseload, we're still doing it every day on the weekends, but we're making sure that it's at least reported out. We are still doing the active cases by town map, which is either on Friday or it's published over the weekend with the weekend update. We are still including our vaccination efforts and events updates, and the e-newsletter continues to go out. Public health operations continue 7-day-a-week staffing based on the current case numbers. And certainly we're continuing with contact tracers, both local and state. The state's working on ramping their contact tracing efforts back up. They had some staffing issues there, so that certainly put a lot more work on our local public health folks here that were doing contact tracing, and certainly affected our schools and other operations as well with notifying cases. So that is on its way back up, thankfully. Just a comparison where we were last year on October 14th versus this year, October 14th. So last year we had 220 people in monitoring. This year we have 706 total confirmed cases. As of last year, we're 312. Obviously now we're up to 4,219. And these were as of 10/14 numbers. Active cases 17 last year versus 172 this year. And our recoveries, which we're thankful for, 3,999. And to date, we have seen 48 related COVID-19 deaths of county residents. We're continuing to encourage people, if they're not feeling well, even if they think it's a cold, something else, please stay home, get tested. There are still people who think they have allergies, colds, they're going to work or they're going out. They are being tested a couple of days later when they feel really bad and finding out they're positive and have subjected other people either to quarantines or obviously continuing to have to go through that contact tracing process. So please, if you're not feeling well, stay home and get tested. If you are tested in Vermont or somewhere other than New York, please reach out to public health if you test positive and you're returning to the area here. It's taking at least 3 days in a lot of cases before public health even gets a notification, some even longer than that. So certainly public health wants to start that investigation as soon as possible so they can notify and identify whoever needs to be quarantined out of that so we can stop the spread. Our level of community transmission, like everyone around us, remains high according to the CDC, which recommends that all people, regardless of vaccination status, indoor, wear a mask. And our active case data, as of last night, 706 under monitoring, 172 positive active cases right now, and 10 people in the hospital. In the last couple of days, both the hospital and our public health folks have seen an increase in hospitalizations. So obviously that's a concern for us. Just the active statistics by date. So this is since we started putting this graph together on May 8th of last year up until October 8th. So last Friday, it's every Friday throughout, and it documents the active people under monitoring, which is the blue, the active positives, which we can see is the pink or the red, and our active hospitalizations by date. So this is not anything that's showing you overall. This is just showing you active cases for every week. And then our total deaths as we go through, and those are just active deaths. That's not the total. When you look at the historical statistics, these are the numbers as it goes. Obviously, you see the red are positives overall. That number will not go down. This is just showing you from where we began. That number is just going to continue to grow. But you can see the hospitalizations fluctuate, the persons under monitoring fluctuate, and unfortunately, the deaths will not. If you're looking for information from Washington County regarding vaccination, you can still go to the state's Am I Eligible site. We know that everybody age 12 or over is eligible at some point for one type of vaccine or another. You can check our website for updates on vaccine efforts that we're continuing to do with our partners in the EMS Vaccination Task Force. Sign up for our vaccine interest registry, which we're continuing to send that information out to the registry folks as well. We have the state numbers, our numbers. Check with your healthcare provider and pharmacies. There are a lot of options out there to be vaccinated for those who are just, either finding it to be right for them or have talked to their medical provider, or it's just, they decided that they want to get vaccinated now. We do have 2 remaining clinics for the rest of this month. Next Thursday at the Whitehall Central School, we'll be doing first dose Pfizer, second dose Pfizer for those that had it already, and the third dose or booster shots of Pfizer for those that are eligible. The boosters and second dose do require registration. You'll get notification if you're a second dose from public health. The third dose, as long as you meet the requirements and are eligible under the current standards, which is 6 months after your second dose, and you meet those other eligibility criteria, you can sign up online. Those links will go live at the beginning of the week. And the same thing with Argyle the following week. So there we'll be doing first dose Pfizer and the booster shots. So one of the things that has come up, obviously, is there's discussions regarding the J&J booster. And yesterday, the FDA panel recommended the Moderna booster for at-risk adults and those 65 and older, and that was at a reduced amount of the booster, so it's not the same amount as the original booster. There has been no approval that has come out, so public health can't start doing those yet. Obviously, we need to wait to get everything from the FDA, the CDC, and then State Department of Health. But certainly we are preparing for that, just like we prepared for the Pfizer ones, and we'll look to integrate those either into our current vaccine operations or do something different for the Moderna when that is finally approved. So the vaccination progress by county, obviously you can see that as of this morning, 34,774 have completed their vaccine series with at least 36,768 with one dose. And we do continue to track our breakthrough COVID-19 statistics based on the cases that we've had here in the county. So as of this morning, out of the 34,774 fully vaccinated people, we've had 416 breakthrough cases, with 245 of them receiving the full vaccine series of Pfizer, 70 receiving the single dose J&J, and 101 the full series of Moderna. We still do not have the breakdown from the state on out of the 34,774 who has received what. So we can't put that in perspective, but we continue to track based on everything here locally. And just a big thank you to everybody who continues to help, not only with the pod operations that are continuing every week, but obviously the contact tracing operations, which is staff from other departments, some new part-time or per diem people that have been brought in. You know, it certainly is a heavy lift for public health while they're continuing to do everything else that they do on a daily basis. So we appreciate the support from everybody, and we look forward to seeing what's next with the boosters from Moderna, and J&J will keep everybody advised as that continues.
Very good, Tim. Thank you. Any questions of Tim, anyone? Okay. Seeing none, thank you, Tim. Okay, we'll now move on to the committee reports, audit report. Do we have a motion to accept the audit report?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the audit report.
Moved by Supervisor O'Brien. Do we have seconds?
Second.
Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Griffith, and Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. On to proclamations. We have two that you will see there. One is a Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Is October 20th, 21. We have a proclamation for that, which is in your packet. And then the second one we have is a Corporal Ben Osborne Day, which was originated by Warren County. And it ends up that we had three counties that did the proclamation, Warren County, Washington County, and Saratoga County. And there's an explanation as to Corporal Ben, as you see in the resolution, which is kind of self-explanatory, was killed in combat. And his father started a not-for-profit that serves all four of those counties. And it started out as a book educational thing where he puts books, drop boxes in front of like the schools and other places within the township, drops books in that kids and adults can come and pick up those books and take them and read them and then return them when they were done and exchange them. And that is expanded on to many different facets, including clothing and feeding of individuals that need the assistance. And so in recognition of that, they're going to have a Corporal Ben Osborne Day. And this proclamation was presented by Warren County, and we jumped on to support it, as did Saratoga County. Yes, sir.
I just didn't want you to leave them out.
I did leave them out. They didn't sign on to it.
Oh, it says in the proclamation.
I understand.
But they didn't sign.
They didn't sign. That was the proclamation we originally had that was sent to us, and then we got word this morning that they had not signed on to it as of 10:15. So,
My mistake.
no, that's okay. I appreciate that. Okay, for proclamations, we will go to Supervisor's privilege of the floor. Does any supervisor have anyone like Supervisor Ward?
Yes, I have Supervisor Jim Smith and Owen Short who express their concerns to the board about the impact of mandates upon their personal freedoms.
Okay. So if you'd like to step up to the podium in the back, there's a microphone there if you would, please. I think it's all on. You're all set, sir, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. My name is James Smith. I'm a resident of Easton. This county was named after our first president. The name Washington is a symbol of freedom, beacon of hope. It is woven into the fabric of our nation. The road he traveled to become the first president was fraught with division, despair, and fear. His mark on history began by getting into a fight which he did not want. Ladies and gentlemen, that fight is here, and it has no borders. The enemy is within our shores and does not bear a foreign flag. This conflict cannot be resolved in D.C. or Albany. It starts here with you locally. Mandates are taking away our right to work, go to school, soon to travel, or buy food. This goes against our founding principles and human rights. I propose that all supervisors in this county hold and pass a resolution or ordinance banning the current and future mandates implemented by the President and by the Governor of this state, enforceable within the borders of your townships. You make a stand, other towns and counties will follow. George Washington once said, "Liberty, when it begins to root, is a plant of rapid growth." The time to draw a line in the sand is now. This will not end until we stop enforcing the dictates of those who are destroying our rights. If you choose to do nothing, our liberty, history, traditions, and our country will be destroyed. It is time to put an end to this tyranny. Enjoying freedom is easy. Getting it back, fraught with sweat, sacrifice, and blood. I implore you to act to prevent our communities from becoming war zones. As history has shown, we the people will defend our rights if you refuse to do so. The time to take back our country is now. How will history remember you? There's a freedom rally being held this Sunday, 1 o'clock in the Greenwich Plaza. I encourage all from both sides of the aisle to attend. Freedom and rights are not partisan, and they do not discriminate. There is a Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Acceptance of, resolution. Oh, one more, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. No, you're welcome.
Good morning. Dawn O'Connor Sharts, and resident of Greenwich. My family goes back 2 generations in Greenwich. I would like to firstly thank Don Ward for setting this up for us today and making it possible to meet in person. Thank you to the County Board of Supervisors for giving us this time to address you. My father once said, one of many brilliant things I learned from him, "Don't talk so much that you make people deaf," so I will be brief. My father served 20 years in the Air Force. He was a pilot and flight instructor, which took us many places as we moved every 4 years. We settled back in Greenwich, his hometown, where he was born and raised, after his retirement. Prior to him getting married, he was stationed in Wheeler Field during the bombing of Pearl Harbor. When the Japanese attacked, there was a guy that jumped in a foxhole, and when somebody else jumped on top of him, the guy on top of him is not here today, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that guy. He saved my father's life that day. There are many stories out there about young soldiers who risked their lives so we could remain free. Our freedoms now are being jeopardized by the actions of our government today. I'm here to ask you to stand together as a whole and tell our governor we will not comply with your mandates. These mandates were a press release, a suggestion. None of them, the masks and the shots. None of them.
Apologize for that. I'm not sure what that was, Don.
I think it was feedback. This shot was for authorization use only and has not been approved. If someone wants to wear a mask or get a shot, it should be a personal decision. If someone wants to wear a mask or get a shot. We are a divided country because of what has taken place. We need to become a united country again, and the only way to do this is to stand together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And again, I apologize, Dawn, for the interruption on the thing. And I thought the two of you together and James was speaking, and I apologize for that too. I didn't realize you were both going to say something, so I didn't mean to cut you off there. Okay.
No, that's all right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We will now move on to the introduction of resolutions. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Okay. All right, thank you. I think Supervisor Half is now on. Okay, so, yep, I think we'll start with the first resolution.
Resolution number 196 by Supervisor.
I apologize. I think that feedback was from me.
Resolution number 196 by Supervisor.
Still is, Charlie, still is.
Yeah, still is, Dana.
Supervisors Skelly, Roselle, Campbell, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Shaw, Ferguson, Wilson, titled to make reappointments to the Sewer District Number 2 Board of Commissioners.
We have a motion to move, number 196.
Moving number 196.
Moved by Supervisor Skelly. Do we have, seconds? Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Shaw, Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Clary,
Supervisor Wilson.
Supervisor Wilson. Thank you, Supervisor.
And Supervisor
Fedler.
And there's Supervisor Fedler. Sorry, Cassie, I missed you going through there. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 197 by Supervisors O'Brien, Roselle, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Ferguson, Fisher, titled to amend Washington County Title VI Plan.
We have a
Mr.
motion to
Chairman?
do that.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution number 197.
Moved by Supervisor O'Brien, seconds, please. So we got Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Clary. Have I missed anyone? Having not missed anyone, discussion, please. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 198 by Supervisors Skelly, Roselle, Campbell, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Shaw, Ferguson, Wilson, title authorize execution of Green Innovation Grant, Sewer District Number 2.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution number 198.
Moved by Supervisor Skelly. Do we have any seconds? Supervisor Shaw, Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Henke. See no further seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 199 by Supervisors Skelly, Roselle, Campbell, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Shaw, Ferguson, Wilson, title Type 2 Resolution, Washington County Sewer District Number 2, EPG.
Moving resolution number 199.
Moved by Supervisor Skelly. Seconds, please. Supervisor Shaw, Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Henke. Any further seconds that I missed? Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 200 by Supervisors Skelly, Roselle, Campbell, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Shaw, Ferguson, Wilson, title authorize execution of engineering planning grant, Sewer District Number 2.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution 200.
Moved by Supervisor Skelly. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Shaw, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Henke. Supervisor Fisher. Any other seconds? Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 201 by Supervisors Hicks, Ward, Campbell, O'Brien, Clary, Griffith, title amend staffing pattern, Personnel Department.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution 201.
Moved by Supervisor Hicks. Do we have a second? Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Clary. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 202 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Hicks, Fedler, Hogan, Clary, Ward, Griffith, title amend budget for code enforcement software.
Moving resolution 202.
Do we have a second? Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Henke. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 203 by Supervisors Hicks, Ward, Campbell, O'Brien, Clary, Griffith, title to appoint Tina McDougall, Public Health Director.
Mr. Chairman, moving resolution 203.
Moved by Supervisor Hicks. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor O'Brien, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Clary. Any others? Supervisor Hack. Did you question Dana, or?
He's on a delay.
Okay. You heard me? Okay, he heard me. So we're all set. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 204 by Supervisors Hicks, Ward, Campbell, O'Brien, Skelly, Clary, Griffith, title amend the staffing pattern, public health for contact tracers.
Mr. Chairman, moving 204.
Moved by Supervisor Hicks. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Hanky. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 205 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Roselle, Ward, Griffith, title to set date of annual meeting.
Moving resolution 205.
Do we have a second? Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Hanky, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Griffith. And I don't think I see any others. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 206 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Roselle, Ward, Griffith, titled determine time and place for a public hearing on the 2022 tentative budget.
Moving resolution 206.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Seconds, please. Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Hanky, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Ferguson. And I don't believe I missed anyone. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Carried.
Resolution number 207 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Roselle, Ward, Griffith. Title, a resolution authorizing the issuance not to exceed 25 million serial bonds of the County of Washington, New York for the planning, design, acquisition, and installation of improvements to the sewer system for Sewer District Number 2, including Environmental Facilities Corporation Project numbers 5559-05-00 and 5559-05-01.
Moving resolution 207.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Hanky, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Griffith. Did I miss anybody? Okay, this will be a roll call vote requiring 2/3.
Mr. Hanky?
Yes.
Mrs. Fedler?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Haff? Mr. Haff?
Dana, can you hear us?
Yes.
On a delay.
Mr. Campbell?
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Skelly?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
yes,
Clary? Yes. Mr. Griffith?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted, 2,785 yes, 1,239 absent. Resolution number 208 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Roselle, Ward, Griffith, title, match authorization resolution, sewer district engineering planning grant.
Moving resolution 208.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Seconds, please. Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Hanky, Supervisor Clary. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 209 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Roselle, Ward, Griffith, title, match resolution, authorization resolution, sewer district green innovation grant.
Moving resolution 209.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Seconds, please. Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Hanky, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Fisher. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 210 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Rozell, Ward, Griffith, title to award bid 2021-25, SD number 2, Washington County Sewer District concrete improvements.
Moving resolution number 210.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. We have seconds, please. Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Fiddler, Supervisor Henke. Is there any discussion? Supervisor Shaw.
Yeah, does the sewer district have the funds to front all this, or does the county front it through fund balance, and then they pay us back when it's, I don't know, it might be.
Supervisor Campbell.
That's probably an Al question. Al.
Yeah, that's what I was
Sewer
wondering.
district. You just passed a resolution to
To borrow.
$25 million to borrow.
Right, so, I mean, we're not using any of our money whatsoever.
Okay. So that's all being borrowed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 211 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Rozell, Ward, Griffith, title to award bid 2021-27, SD number 2, Washington County Sewer District Administrative Building HVAC replacement.
Moving resolution 211.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fiddler, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor O'Brien. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 212 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Rozell, Ward, Griffith, title to award bid 2021-26, SD number 2, Washington County Sewer District Solids Building Roof Replacement.
Moving resolution number 212.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Second, please. Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fiddler. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 213 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Rozell, Ward, Griffith, title amend 2021 County Clerk Budget, accept Local Government Records Management Improvement Fund grant, and authorize chairman to sign grant contract.
Moving resolution number 213.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Do we have seconds? Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fiddler, Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Griffith. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 214 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Rozell, Ward, Griffith, title Standard Workday and Reporting Resolution.
Moving resolution 214.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Second, please. Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Fiddler, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Griffith. Is there any discussion? This is going to be a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Henke.
Yes.
Mrs. Fedler.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Mr. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Fisher.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien, yes. Mr. Half. Mr. Half.
Yes.
He gives the thumbs up.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Skelly.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mrs. Clary. Yes. Mr. Griffith.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted, 3,186 yes, 1,074 absent. Resolution number 215 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Rozell, Ward, Griffith, title to amend Resolution number 247 of 2020, providing for payment rates for county employees providing contact tracing services during normally scheduled hours.
Moving resolution 215.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Second, please. Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Griffith. Is there any discussion? And this will be a roll call also.
Mr. Hanky?
Yes.
Mrs. Fedler?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Half? Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien? Mr. Half? Mr. Campbell?
yes,
Yes.
Mr. Skelly?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
yes,
Ms. Clary? Yes. And Mr. Griffith?
Mr. Half gave us a thumbs up.
The resolution is adopted, 3,186 yes, 1,074 absent. Resolution number 216 by Supervisors Campbell, O'Brien, Half, Hicks, Fedler, Skelly, Clary, Roselle, Ward, Griffith, titled to amend General Fund 2021 budget for multi-jurisdictional reveal project grant funds.
Moving resolution 216.
Moved by Supervisor Campbell. Do you have a second? Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Ferguson, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Skelly, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Griffith. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signal saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 217 by Supervisor Hall, title Appointment to the Washington County Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board.
I will move that motion. Do we have a second? Supervisor Wilson, Supervisor Henke, Supervisor Griffith, Supervisor O'Brien, Supervisor Fisher, Supervisor Clary, Supervisor Fedler, Supervisor Ward, Supervisor Campbell, Supervisor Ferguson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay. So we will now move on to Supervisors Comments. Do any supervisors have any comments at this point in time?
I do.
Yes, Mr. James.
I just wanted to bring to the attention of the board, we had the passing of our assessor, Ronnie Fairworth. Ronnie has been for 33 years, and so she's been our sole assessor, elected sole assessor, and right now we're in a transitional period, and I just wanted to acknowledge Ronnie's passing and thank her for all the work that she did while she was with us, and I want to also thank Laura Chadwick and Real Property for helping us transition through this process. Thank you.
Thank you, James. That will be a loss for your community. There's no doubt about that. Yep. Thank you. Okay, any other supervisors' comments?
I got some.
Yes, Supervisor Henke.
I wanted to mention a fellow that I knew he wasn't really in my town, but I did know him. He's over excess of 100 years old. He's a very interesting guy. He not only got married, but bought a farm while he was in the service in wartime. Paid for it with his Army salary and Navy salary. He got back and took up farming and went to ag school for 4 years while he was a farmer. Very innovative guy. I wouldn't say I met him, but I got dragged over to his place one time by one of the farmers I worked with because he had the first pit silo that we ever had in this area over in Gansford. I personally met him when I was working as a conservation officer out hunting, checking things. He was a member of a hunting club. I had to went and check one time. He was also a judge and a highway superintendent for his local town. And I always said it takes a man to make a man, and I'm pretty glad to know his son because I'm talking about Bernard Shaw, who was 101, passed away recently, and my condolences, Dan, for that. Thank you.
All of our condolences, Dan. Yep. Thank you, Bob, for that. Any other supervisor comments?
Dan, I have something.
Mr. Ferguson, I'm sorry. Any other supervisor comments?
Dan, I have something.
Let's
Are
go.
you there?
I am. Are you here?
Did you call on me, Sam?
Yes, I did, Paul.
Okay, I just have a big thank you from the town of Dresden.
I'd like to thank, we have Slick now, 90% of our town. And, it was a long process. I want to thank the townspeople of Dresden for waiting so long, being so patient. I just want to say thank you to like Dan Steck, Lee Stavanik, Laura Oswald, Sam Hall, Dana Haff for his support, and Dave O'Brien for pushing me along. And I want to say thank you, of course, to my wife for putting up with her long phone calls and me getting short with her, thinking I'm getting nowhere with Slick. But they're finally here, and I have some people that are very happy for that. And I'd like to say thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Paul. Supervisor Haff, did you have your hand up? You had a question? Comment? Have your hand up? You had a question?
Yes, but I'm having trouble, so I'm not even going to try.
You want to try dialing on my phone and I can put it to the speaker?
He's coming in loud and clear when he.
No, he says no. Okay. You want to try talking because it's better to come in when we're not talking? No? Okay. All right. So that brings us any other supervisors' comments?
I have a motion.
No. Supervisor Hickey.
I'd like to executive session for the purpose of discussing ongoing union negotiations. I don't think we're going to take any action to make adjourn for executive session, but I can't promise that. There may be some action.
Okay, very good. Do we have a second to that motion? Seconded by James Griffith, seconded by Don Ward, seconded by Paul Ferguson. Any other seconds? All right, so then we will adjourn and go into executive session.
You gotta wait for live stream to come down.
Okay.